Hey everyone, it's Coram and Ken Shreve here with a look at the stock market for Thursday, April 13th, where we saw stocks race higher on the heels of cooling wholesale inflation data, Ken.
Yeah, pretty good percentage gains for the market. Really paying attention to volume in the market. Really looking for kind of renewed signs of accumulation in the major stock indexes. Not quite seeing it yet. Volume might be a little higher on the Nasdaq. We'll have to see. But good day for metals, gold, silver, copper, all up sharply. So we'll take a look at Southern Copper, SCCO. Also, a couple large cap stocks: Visa, ticker V, and Apple, which is kind of approaching a new buy point here.
Yes, so detailed analysis coming your way shortly on those three stocks. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. The Nasdaq leading the gains today, up 2% by sessions close. We also had the S&P 500 up 1.3%. It looked like the Russell 2000 was also on pace for a gain of 1.3% by the end of the day, and the Dow up more than 1% as well, some 1.1%. So strong gains across the board. And I guess, Ken, if we're in the kind of market where we're seeing tech leadership, but also these commodity plays working, does it seem like we're seeing more market participation?
Well, it's funny. I was just talking to one of my leaderboard colleagues, and he was saying, one of our best performers on the in the leaderboard model portfolio was Royal Gold. So we're seeing the market trying to rally here with gold stocks, hitting new highs, and Royal Gold has been a strong performer. So we're seeing good action in individual stocks as well. Breadth was, pretty good about a half an hour before the market close. Nasdaq breadth was about 2.5 to 1 positive, and nearly 3 to 1 positive on the NYSE. So lots of good action in individual growth stocks. But when you see the number of stocks that are just rising in light volume here, it gives some pause. We are still in a confirmed uptrend, and the technical picture of the market still looks pretty good. We're just waiting for kind of growth stocks to start to show signs of accumulation here because so many low volume gains. It's hard to make to move into a stock and buy it without volume.
Right.
So we've been nibbling here and there, but like I've been saying on the show, leaderboard is only about 67% invested right now. So we have room to increase, but just going to wait for volume to come into the market here.
Good notes there, Ken. And we did see the NASDAQ getting back above that 12,000 level. So now it is approaching its high from the 31st of March. And that would also put it really close to that February high. So one more strong day, Ken, and we could be at the highest levels this year.
Yeah, one more strong day, and it would just be a breakout, for the Nasdaq. And headed into this session, when I saw that bearish reversal yesterday, remember we've had three distribution days, three higher volume declines in the Nasdaq over the past five trading sessions, and right now volume looks like it might be a little bit lower, but we'll see. It's pretty close to what we saw on Wednesday. But if you had asked me if the Nasdaq was going to be able to take out yesterday's high, I would have been a little skeptical at the beginning of the session. But Nasdaq ended with a really nice percentage gain here, and again, liking the action in the market. But when so many things are moving in light volume, it gives you a little bit of pause and
Yeah.
reminds you that the market still has some headwinds that it's
Mhm.
fighting through. But market rallies often happen when they're least expected.
Yeah. And perhaps traders are biding their time to position a little bit more once we hear from the big banks. Do you think, Ken?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, tomorrow's going to be a pretty pivotal day. I mean, we've got United Health Group, the managed care firm that's been an outstanding performer in the healthcare sector. They report tomorrow, and then we've got Citigroup, J.P. Morgan, BlackRock, and another big one that I'm
Mhm.
missing. But a lot of high
Yeah.
profile financials coming out tomorrow morning, and markets maybe a little jittery about what they might say, but really solid day today.
Okay. And now let's take a look at the S&P 500, looking like a breakout over a handle area for it as well, with two recent downside reversals that it was able to pass. It is now getting closer and closer to that 4200 level, which also coincides with that early February high. So the S&P 500 looking pretty good here as well. How about the Dow getting above 34,000 today?
Yeah, pretty impressive. And just with the S&P 500, remember this is an index. We talked about this kind of mild distribution that we've been seeing on the Nasdaq. We still haven't had a distribution day on the S&P
Hmm.
500, and we got that first buy signal on March 29th with the follow through day for both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. So yeah, today looks like a breakout. It does look like NYSE volume is going to be lower than Wednesday. So really, it wasn't a meaningful accumulation day for the index. Maybe for the Nasdaq, but like I said, Nasdaq volume pretty close to what we
Hmm.
saw yesterday.
All right. And so we looked at the Dow strengthening as well. And then the Russell 2000, here's the IWM ETF. Had a strong percentage gain today, but it still has a lot of work to do. It's right around that 21-day line. And the 50-day and 200-day look like they are narrowing. So potentially converging here. So it seems like that is going to be the resistance level to watch. And if we get close to that level, it seems like we would be taking out some of the big decline from the early days in March when the banking fears were really spreading. But it has made up ground, just not a lot. It still has a lot more work to do, more repair work.
It's definitely the weakest out of the four indexes. I don't think the Dow, S&P 500, and Nasdaq right now are really, dealing with. I mean, there's still some overhead supply that these indexes are working through, but much more so on the Russell 2000 with the index, like you said, still below the 200-day. The 50-day moving average is starting to trend lower. So this is it could be a long road back for the Russell, but you never know. I think the strength in the market again right now. Certainly the Dow, S&P 500, broke out today. Nasdaq is right on the cusp of a breakout. So, I think things are looking
Mhm.
pretty good.
Looking up. Okay. And now let's take a look at SMH, the chip sector ETF, because this does look like it's finding support right around 250, where it's been, it looks like it's the closest it's been to the 50-day line in a little while, but support still in question on the weekly chart here.
Yeah, good point. I mean, we would not want to see this ETF break badly below the 10-week moving average. I wouldn't think that would be good for the Nasdaq, but it is holding support. Like I said, it's kind of testing that 10-week line right now. A couple weeks ago, it made a
Mhm.
really nice move in lower
Right.
volume, and then on the daily chart here, it's a nice test of the 50-day moving average. But again, look at the volume today in the SMH, very light. Lower than what we saw yesterday, and that's a common theme when you look at the stocks rallying today, and you don't have to look far. You'll see stocks that were down yesterday in higher volume, and then rallying back
Right.
today in lower volume. So typically you
Mhm.
don't like to see that, but we're just in a low volume period time and kind of in a holding pattern, like you said, ahead of
Mhm.
first quarter earnings season and some financial earnings reports tomorrow.
And we do want to check in on the 10-year treasury yield. So here's 0 TNX on Market Smith. So picking up a little bit, but Monday through Thursday, it seems like we've sort of been hovering around the same range here, Ken.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when Mark Minervini was on IBD Live yesterday, he was starting to think that inflation is maybe becoming an old story in the market, and that may be true to some extent. But with the 10-year yield, again, I just don't think the Fed is in a position where they're going to be aggressively raising rates. What the market thinks right now is that in early May they will raise by another quarter point. They will hold tight, hold steady in June, and the market right now is leaning towards a quarter point hike at the July meeting. So we're probably at a point where the trajectory of interest rates is probably going to start to slow way
Mhm.
down. The question the market is still battling with right now is what is this slowdown in the economy going to look like? Is it
Right.
going to be shallow, or is it going to be kind of prolonged? And the Fed minutes came out yesterday, and a lot of Fed officials acknowledged that this financial crisis, or at least the problems that we saw with SVB Financial and the failures of that bank and Signature Bank,
Mhm.
and tight lending could slow the economy down as well. So the
Right.
question is, how much are we going to slow down? And hopefully, it's short and shallow. If that's the case, we should see the market
Mhm.
continue to perform well here.
Yeah, it does seem like a tricky needle to thread because the bad news for the economy to an extent is good news for the pace of the rate hikes. But on the other hand, a weakening economy then means recession. So in
Yeah,
terms of the
yeah.
market reaction, it just depends on how investors want to digest that data or interpret it. Is it net positive or is it net negative? So a tricky needle to
Yeah,
thread.
it is definitely tricky, and we'll just have to see, because it just doesn't seem to me like this 10-year yield is going to be in a position where it's going to start to materially, race higher here. We could also look at the U.S. dollar, which
Yes.
continues to weaken, and that has that's why gold and silver and copper rallied so much. But you can see the
Mhm.
downtrend that the dollar is on, not really showing any signs yet that it's going to start a meaningful uptrend. So if the dollar stays weak, that should be a help for the stock
Mhm.
market as well.
Absolutely. Okay, well, speaking of commodities, let's take a look at Southern Copper, SCCO, with a breakout here today. And it's good to see volume coming into the stock by the close because when I was looking at it a little bit earlier, it looked like volume was on pace to be average for the day, which would be a pickup from the last couple of weeks there. And on this right side of the base, we did get a little bit of a shakeout before the breakout, Ken.
Yeah, definitely, and I agree that volume was pretty solid today, above average, quite a bit higher than what we saw on Wednesday. Just a classic breakout from a double bottom base here. You see the when it came down and first hit that low of 69.79, it rallied back, and then it undercut that low. It hit a low of what was that, 66.47. So that's the
Mhm.
shakeout that you want to see in this double bottom pattern. And the rally back for Southern Copper has been in very, very light volume. It drifted lower last week and kind of set the stage for a nice powerful move today in heavy volume.
Mhm.
So this is a stock that still looks to me like it's actionable. If you believe that dollar is going to stay weak and you have faith in this uptrend, this is a stock that could continue to do well.
Yeah, and really great to see because this was a stock that right out of the gate, literally on the first day of 2023, or at the very least, the first trading week, made a very impressive move in strong volume. And so since then, it's just been taking its time to set up again. So it would be nice to see this breakout work. But that's the question: is it going to?
Well, it's interesting you point that out, because if you look at January 6th was when we got that first signal from the market earlier this year. We got a follow through day, and you can see, just like clockwork, Southern Copper was one of the first stocks out of the gate here. So the January 6th was, yeah, kind of right in that area. So when you get a follow through day for the market, you tend to see stocks breaking out of kind of consolidations. That's exactly what Southern Copper did in volume, and then it just kind of formed a double base here and is moving again. So a nice move today for SCCO.
Absolutely.
Freeport McMoran too. Earnings
Yeah.
next week. A group peer of
Mm.
SCCO, and this is another stock that moved nicely today. Kind of same sort of volume increase here, and kind of counterintuitive. I was talking to my
Mm.
colleague David Chung. We've got these home builders rallying amid worries about the economy. You've got copper stocks. I mean, it's just a little counterintuitive, but like I said, that's just the stock market being the stock market.
That's for sure. Okay, let's take a look at Visa. Here it is on the weekly chart. So it looks like 5 weeks of gains in progress and a nice upside reversal at the bottom of the base in some strong volume. This week, it's on pace for a gain of about 3% so far. It broke out today, and we did get some above average volume for this breakout as well.
Yeah, pattern recognition in MarketSmith is not really identifying this as a double bottom base. I'm not sure exactly why, but there was a second leg down here. There you go. Well, you're getting pretty good with that annotation tool,
Oh,
I got to
yeah.
say. But so that initial breakout over 227.41 came in pretty good volume, and then it kind of formed a handle, and it's moving again here. So earnings, sorry, that's Freeport is earnings next week, but
Mm.
Visa is still a couple
Week
weeks
and a
out,
half.
but yeah. So another stock that looks still in a buy zone here, doesn't look too extended. Like I said, still in range from that 227.41 pivot, and then a little handle area that it just it cleared today. So another solid name, and get a small dividend with Visa, and it's a really high quality company, good estimates. It's got a real solid track record of growth, so good fundamentals and technicals here.
And another behemoth to take a look at before we close is Apple, outperforming in today's session with a gain of 3.4% in some slightly above average volume, but the highest volume in about a week and a half or so. And it was a rebound off of the round number of 160 and this 21-day line, Ken.
Yeah, and it came in higher volume. So, we're kind of looking at some charts here that it's hard to get too down on this market here when you're seeing some of the moves that we're seeing in some of these large cap names like Visa and Apple, and a lot of growth stocks as well. Volume, again, hasn't been all that impressive, but at least with Apple, volume rose nicely today. Came in about average, but this is a stock that is, after that move over that recent high of 157, it kind of pulled back to that 21-day moving average, and now it is going to looks like it's going to try to clear another handle buy point here. So another good one for the watch list, and you can see up 3.4% today. There was a lot of strong movers in the market today.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for today's show. But of course, we'll be back tomorrow morning on IBD Live to break down the latest as we get all those big earnings reports out. The team will be there to update you on the latest in terms of our market outlook, portfolio exposure, strategies to utilize in the current market, and of course, stocks on our radar too. So we'll see you there in the morning, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details. We'll see you there. And we'll also see you right back here tomorrow at the close to wrap up the week.